All right. So, welcome to another Run Wild with Us, Ask Us Anything. I am Lisa Kastner, and I am the founder and executive editor of Running Wild and RIZE Presses. And I am here with you every Thursday between 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Eastern time. And we basically are here, myself and my fellow editors from Running Wild and Rise, who are here to answer any questions that you may have. It can be about anything. It could be about publishing. It can be about creative writing. It could be about what's our favorite stories. It's all up to you. So if you don't have any questions, then oftentimes what I'll do is I just basically go back and I'll talk about some topics that may have come up during the week. Now, if you do have a question, then that's phenomenal. All I ask is that you go ahead and pop it into our chat, and I will read the question and then respond to it. And with that, I see actually we have the phenomenal uh, Ben White, who is one of our acquisition editors and one of our key editors in general. And I'm so thrilled every time actually I have a chance to have Ben here with me. So, hey Ben, how you doing?
Doing well, doing well. I figured out how to turn the camera on. I'm good.
Hey, that's impressive, man.
I know. I just keep learning stuff all the time.
Right? Yep, absolutely. So, how was your week? Anything interesting come up?
I think we have another acquisition editor on the hook. I think Cody's going
We,
to join us.
yeah. So,
I missed the call to convince him that it's a good thing to do, but Peter talked him into it. So I think we're growing. We're growing, running wild.
we are. We absolutely are. So, that's we'll provide more details on that in the near future. But I've been on the hunt for a new acquisitions editor for Rise for a while now. We've been blessed with a couple of phenomenal individuals who had joined us for brief periods of time, and then for personal reasons they had to move on. So I think we finally found someone who he's actually been with us for a while now. We've been working together with him for I want to say like 3 years at this point, maybe longer. And but yeah, so we're gonna tell every you guys all about that very soon. But I think you're right. I think we finally found a Rise acquisitions editor who is going to be absolutely perfect. So, yep, totally good stuff. How's the editing going?
It's going well. We The anthologies are coming together, and tracking about one story a day, so it'll be done pretty soon, and
Nice.
they will be done pretty soon.
Very
And
nice.
the authors are being very they've waited long enough, so now that they waited on me, so now they're very responsive with getting me their third person bios and their and and either accepting or rejecting my suggestions.
Mhm.
So that process is working well. And then the novels are I'm ready to move into the next novel, and I'm only a month behind, so that's not bad at all.
Actually, man, you're doing far better than me. That's all I have to say. I am so behind. I just need to apologize to anybody who is
Right
waiting
up
on
front,
me right now. Oh yeah, I
both of us.
uh my inbox is absolute crazy town right now. I have so many things on my plate, and we actually just started sending out more targeted emails to fans and readers and booksellers, and about our upcoming stories. And there's a believe it or not, there's a ton of work that goes into doing that and getting that all cleaned up and everything. So I think I have about four authors right now who are waiting on me to get back to them with revised contracts. So these are people that we made offers for to back in, I want to say, wow, a month ago, August 1st. So
It was, yeah.
yeah, so slowly going through that, and I pretty much we have a few agents that work with us regularly because we had, acquired stories that they represent, and so I catch up with them regularly, and we're gonna have that great um, as a treat to our editors and the people who work with us on a daily basis. We're actually going to host a subset. We offered to host like a 3-day cruise with them, and so there's a lot of setting up that has to be done with that, and that'll happen though in January. So I'm hoping that once we're past COVID, or at least, where there's still a lot of fear about going out, you know, because of COVID, that I'm hoping next year we'll have a lot of things to celebrate as well. And when we do that, then we'll have a bigger turnout. So that though, it should be a whole lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. So if you guys are watching this and you don't know who we are, so I'm Lisa Kastner, and I'm the founder and executive editor of Running Wild and RIZE presses. I'm here with Ben White, who is one of our key critical acquisition editors and overall editors. And we are here with you guys on Thursdays between 5 p.m. Pacific time and 6 p.m. Pacific time, and 8 p.m. Eastern time and 9 p.m. Eastern time. And we're here to answer whatever questions you may have about writing. It could be actually marketing, publishing, anything, whatever you think of. We are more than happy to answer your questions. So Don McIntyre says, "Hey there, hey Don. As always, fabulous to see you. I heard you say that your next reading period for novel submissions will be in December. What's the next one after that?" Don, that's a great question. So, for those of you watching, we actually are trying to have it where we actually have a committee of people who gets together and respond to our submissions every 4 months. So, based on that, uh, since our next one's in early December, that means the one following that would most likely be in April. So, if you send us anything, though, just as a heads up, if you send us something, like, I believe we're doing the reading review on like December 4th or something like that. If you send us something like between December 1st and December 4th, don't bet that it's going to be part of that review, because we need time to actually go over it, right? So, because we had a few people who raced to get stuff in for the last review we had on August 1st, and although I'm honored that you put in the time and really made that a priority to get it in so fast. The reality is, in order to actually give us times that we can really look at the piece we need it sooner than that. So yeah, so that's a great question, Don. Yeah, basically every 4 months. So
And
sometime early April.
it used to be manageable for us to take a look at novels as they came in, and then they built up, and we said, well, we better get together and have a mass reading and an acquisition meeting. And so we were shooting for once a year, and now just based on volume alone, it's once every 4 months now. So you can see what we're looking at and how much it's grown. And so it's where we've gone down to just managing ones or twos coming in to whole big bunches of novels and work coming in for us to look at. So give us a chance and get it in the quickest catalog possible for you.
And by the way, if you've written a novella rather, or a short story, those send to us on a rolling basis, like send them to him as you're getting them done. Because usually Ben is the short story editor for we have two anthologies for short stories, one for Rise and one for Running Wild. We're actually going to have a special anthology for short stories that's going to be edited by a dear friend of ours and who's also a member of our advisory board, Jonathan Mayberry, who's like this huge New York Times bestseller, and a big old teddy bear of a guy, absolutely awesome guy. So, um, and we'll talk more about that in the future. But I typically edit the novella anthologies. And so send those in definitely as you are inspired, as you get your work done. The novellas are typically cross genre, and the short stories for anything for Running Wild is typically cross genre. Anything for Rise is typically genre, but it's written by someone from an underrepresented group. So if you're a standard white female or a standard white male, you probably don't want to send something in for Rise. You want to send it in to Running Wild, just for awareness. So Dawn says, I could send you something pretty bad by December, but it might be pretty good by April. I'm down for pretty good by April. I'm just saying, right? Send us what you think is your best work, and we would love to check it out. Um, it's interesting going back to Ben's point. Seriously, when we first started, I mean, we were basically going around to people begging them, please send us your work. Like, people whose work we were fans of. And I think there was one point we had so many submissions that that's why we just had to change the way we did things, just so it was more manageable for us, and so you guys didn't feel ignored. Because at one point, when we were doing it on a rolling basis, we were able to get to things fast enough that you'd get a response within at least 6 months. And then there came a point, I mean, we had stuff that were sitting in our inbox for over a year. And that's just not, it's not fair to you. That if you really are a big fan of ours and you really want to have your work published by us, it's not fair to you to have you wait that long. So also be aware, and we had talked about this a little bit last time, uh, we only publish between 10 and 15 stories, meaning books, per press per year. And what that means to you is, if we get like 800 submissions in 4 months, we're getting a lot more than, like 3 or 4 stories per press. That's great. And so we actually end up having to decline several stories that are really good. We just simply don't have the bandwidth to publish it. So if you get rejected by us, a lot of what I try to do is, if your book was in consideration, like you've made it to the point where we're sitting here and we're having a dialogue um, within the acquisition team about possibly carrying your work, what that means is I will typically try to just note that, we're so sorry that we didn't accept it for this time around, but you're welcome to resubmit it in the future. So I don't, and I'm positive other small and mid-sized presses do the exact same thing. So anytime you get a decline, don't hesitate to ask if they have any recommendations for your work, or if there's a reason that the work was declined. Actually, Ben talked about this previously as well. He found out that he had submitted to this one publication and they declined it, and it turned out it was because, like, what he sent them was nothing like anything that they would publish in the first place. So, you've got to take that into consideration as well, right? Making sure that you're properly targeting the work that you're sending in to ensure you've got the greatest likelihood of being accepted. So, I hope that all made sense. I don't know, Ben, you
Yes,
want to
so Yeah, well, there's places that especially journals for or poetry too, they will tell you to check out their publication to see what they do publish. And as arrogant as that sounds and lofty as it sounds, it's really good advice. And you see, well, do I fit there? Is it what's wrong with my stuff? They'll like my stuff and they'll love it and publish it. But really, it's they're looking for a certain thing that really appeals to them, and you may not, and that doesn't mean it's your work is bad. It just means that it didn't appeal to that journal. And so, if you do that research and your homework a little bit, you can save your time and say, "Yeah, I really don't write what like what they're publishing," and and it's the same way with publishers of books that you're going to see. You probably see a trend with Running Wild Press. We try to be as diverse as we possibly can, and we I think we do cover a wide range of topics and storytelling and time periods and eclectic bunch. But you still may see a trend in there and say, "Oh, that's a theme that Running Wild Press has," and but we're open for you to challenge that theme. So there you go.
Yeah, we
Send
just
it to
want
us.
we just want the best possible story you've got, right? And so that to us is fun, is really finding great new voices, or voices that maybe haven't commonly been heard in the past. So Caroline says, "Good to see you both. Great to see you as well. Hope everything is going fantastically in your world." Um, but yeah, I mean, we do uh, like I said, Running Wild is more like cross genre, or even if it's a primary genre and it's got flavors of other genres, that counts. And Rise is more around genre stories written by individuals from underrepresented groups. And I think we've been really lucky in getting some really really fantastic authors submit to us, and whom we've had an opportunity to work with. So I just hope that that continues, and we continue to have opportunities to get those voices out to new fans and new readers. So yeah, there you go. Um, for those who may be watching this and you are not familiar with us, um, we are representatives from Running Wild and Rise presses, and we are here with you on Thursdays to basically answer any kind of questions that you may have around. It could be publishing, it can be uh, what genres do we publish, it could be marketing, it can be creative writing, whatever you want. Jeffrey Oliver says, "Hello, hello. How are you, Jeffrey? Do you accept illustrated poetry collections?" You know what? That's a great question. In reality, what it comes down to is our overall mission is to change the world through story. So if your poems have a narrative element, meaning the poetry's written, it's a narrative poem, then yes, we would consider it. If they are not narrative poems, then we would not be the right press for you. So I don't know, Ben, if you have anything that you want to add to that, or
Well, we were in discussion with an author. You remember it was titled the Book of Jobs, I think,
mm,
and we were considering it, but we wanted to make sure that uh, us considering the author was supported by the author considering us, and
mm,
making sure that we were the right fit for that work, where it could have been more maybe a graphic novel or a graphic piece that has that flow of a story for sure, and that's what we saw in that, and we just wanted to make sure that the author was thought that we were right for him, and
mm-hmm.
so we're open to the discussion. Bottom line is we're open to the discussion, but we might tell you that no, it's really not for us, but consider those publishers who have graphic novels or more graphic nature in their publications.
Yep, absolutely. Jeffrey says, They all are, I believe. They are lyrical as well. I've written 100 poems for this, and it is illustrated by Andrew Fremder. 40 illustrations in total. Oh, interesting.
Uh-huh.
Jody Risotto says, "Do you publish YA paranormal that is open to a larger audience, i.e., appropriate for younger teens?" We actually have published stories that arguably could have been under YA, specifically the Durbar's Apprentice. It was based on the age of the primary character and some of the themes within the story. It could be argued that it would be YA, but some of the language made it, um, I guess you could say, more appropriate for adult. But yeah, Jody, that we absolutely would check that out. We would look at a YA paranormal. Um, the
Yeah, and I think
only yeah.
if we got a piece, Lisa, and it said it was YA, we would have the editor screen it for that language, and
Mhm,
particularly make it YA. If that's what you're going for, then let's change this language. So the
mhm,
relationship with the editor would be key in that case.
mhm. Yeah, I totally agree. We would try to make sure that whichever editor we select is someone who is familiar with the young adult genre in general. Uh, the only topics that we don't really touch, we don't really do like middle grade or children's books. We don't do things that don't have a narrative, as I already mentioned. Um, the reason we don't do YA or children's books is because we don't really have the skill sets in that area. So we'd want to make sure that those authors go to a publishing house or publishing houses that could really give them justice. So hope that makes sense. Caroline asks, just curious, when, if we have submitted a short story and it has been accepted and edited, when will we might hear when it will come out in an anthology? So that is a great question.
She's calling me out,
She
Caroline.
totally called you out, man. You were in it.
I'm working my way through. I've got probably about 12 more stories to edit. So it's coming, and it will be done. You will see it. I'm
Yeah,
committed.
and so typically, Caroline, admittedly, a lot of that is dependent upon how quickly we can get through at least the initial cut of edits for the piece or all of the pieces, and then how quickly all the authors come back to us. And then once we have all of that done, then we have a better understanding of when the overarching anthology will be completed. And then at that point, um, then we can tell you once we have everything in and it's all done, then we can tell you when the actual publication date will most likely be. So I'm going to bet this is going to be late 2023, if not early 2024, just because we're in the beginning of September. So Jeffrey says, thanks for answering. Totally, that's why we're here. I appreciate your
Ask us
time.
anything.
Yeah. I have a lot in the works this year: 5 illustrated manuscripts, 3 macro photography, dark poetry manuscripts. Well, check you out, man. I don't know how you find the energy. That's amazing. Caroline says, well, I'm trying to be subtle about this, Ben. You know,
Yeah, me too.
yeah, okay. Actually, he just ended
It's
up kind of
coming.
calling you out while you're calling him out. So, you know, all kinds of equal calling out happening here. So Jeffrey says, yeah, it's insanity. I bet, man, it totally sounds like insanity. Although I think both of us can associate. Ben's got something like 7 different books or something that he's working on. I think I have a
All
5.
at once.
Yeah, I've got like 5 plus. I actually need to start working on the next novella anthologies, and I need to actually finish a novel that I outlined it. I haven't actually started writing it yet. So I think I'm gonna have to take a hiatus on actually editing works for a little while so I can actually write my own. And poor Ben is actually my primary
Tell us
editor.
about that back screen.
Huh? Oh.
Tell
Yes.
us about
So
that bag. Yeah.
I've got a book coming out under the pen name Callie, Kali Metis, Metis, and the book is called Cure. Ben was my amazing editor, and it comes out October 18th. Definitely, you can pre-order it now. It is a fantastic story. I mean, I had a blast writing it. We got a lot of really phenomenal reviews, a lot of great write-ups in a wide variety of different publications, and I would adore it if you guys check it out. Now, and if you like in person or even it could be remote events, we are actually going to have the book launch at Mysterious Galaxy Bookstore in San Diego, California. So I would love to see you there. It would be so much fun. You can join us either online or in person. And actually, let me pull this up. I have let me give you a link to the event. I'll put it in the comments section. Again, uh, I'm completely blessed to have Jonathan Mayberry, who agreed to be my in conversation with me um, about the book, and we're just gonna have a really great time together. He and I laugh entirely too much whenever we're around one another, so it may be just because we're both major dorks, but anyway, or I'm sorry, politely, nerds. We're both major nerds. But we would love to have you join us. And again, it's going to be both online and in person, which reminds me, I need to get my signature plates. I need to order a whole bunch of those so that for those of you who buy the book remotely, I can actually send you my signature and whatever else you would like as a part of that book signing. Jeffrey says, I'm in New York, hoping to be able to do more of these things in the future. We would love to see you. Absolutely. And nerds is probably the right word. It's the more polite version. I have a tendency, if anyone who knows me, I pretty much have a rather, I use big words a lot, and B, I have a foul mouth. So, um, and the big words part, my father would be so proud. The foul mouth part. So, believe this or not, my father was actually a radio personality in the tri-state area. I'm originally from the New Jersey, Philadelphia, New York area. And when he was coming up, his dream when he was a kid was he wanted to be on radio. Like that was it. That was his big end goal, right? So, and he had a phenomenal voice. So he actually did. He was on radio, and one night he was working a late shift, and he forgot something. And he said, "Now, mind you, this is in like the 19 maybe 40s or 50s, something like that. I'd probably say like late 1950s." And he says, "Ah, you know that lovely F word, which you hear much more frequently now." Well, back in the 50s, that would actually get you, you'd lose your job. And he looked up and he realized, oh, I think the mic's on. Well, guess what? His boss came in and confirmed that, yep, your mic was on. So he ended up, like honestly, like turning off the mic and everything. And he lost that job, but he somehow was able to come back, and he continued in radio his entire life. My father was born in 1922, and you know, passed away in like 2004, I believe, and he was literally still on the air to the day he passed. So, he not only he more than fulfilled his dream, and to some he's actually considered kind of a legend in that space. But anyway, so I'm saying all that to say he'd probably be shocked that I could say the F word as well as other, you know, interesting words on the air nowadays. So anyway, so Jeffrey says, yeah, it's too late now. I know it's a little bit late right now in New York. It's like, well, it's like 8:30. You can live. I don't think you'll make it. Or you could just join like the first half hour and then, spend the second half hour, doing whatever it is that you need to do. That's another thing, guys. You can always just join us, ask us pummel us with questions. And if you don't have the time to stay on, that's okay because we're recording this baby. So you can always just come back and listen to however it is that we so cleverly or not so cleverly answer your questions. So Jeffrey says, "Oh, well, I was talking about the mic and the F word." Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've heard plenty of people say the F word now on the air, both on radio and TV, and I don't think anyone cares anymore. I heard there's some new ruling by um those regulators that I guess it's not such a bad thing anyway. Like it's a natural phenomenon, meaning the function of the F word in real life. I was like, okay, that's a creative way of getting around all these people cursing online. That's whatever, or on the air. Yeah, sure. um but anyway, oh, another funny story about that. This was also obviously like in the beginnings of television, and the same company that owned the radio station owned the local TV station. And for a long time, TV was only on during certain hours. You didn't have it on 24/7, right? And like it wasn't on late at night. I think it was off the air. I don't actually remember the specific time, but it was like 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. or something like that. Anyway, so this guy, one of the technicians at the radio station, had written a mystery, and he gave the script for the mystery to the owner of the radio station and pitched it as something for them to have on the air as like the evening movie. And the guy bought it, and they had my dad was the primary character in this TV film. And he was a detective, because they said, well, he just looked like a detective, right? Like he looked like a cop, which, okay. And the secretary, who later on became his wife, she was uh, the other lead within this made for TV film. And it was live on the air for, I don't know, a couple hours or whatever. But so that was his big breakout, appearance on television. So Caroline says, interesting about your father and radio. Strange the connections. Your father, no doubt, knew my husband's father, who was Ted Bell and was an announcer for Radio Free Europe. Yeah, I bet. I would not be surprised. Uh, it during that period, it was very much a small world. Everybody knew everybody else, and especially when you look at with interviews, you really got to know and learn or befriend kind of everybody, um, just because again, because of all those interviews that happened, and they still happen today. So it is very much a small world. So anyway, um, so yeah, so don't miss Cure. And guys, if you want to hear about the books that are coming out, we actually just started sending out um, emails about up and coming stories. We're trying to do it that it's like every 2 months, like for in the next 2 months, and then 2 months from that, and so forth and so on. Just go to runningwildpress.com, and I believe it's in the contact section. Just enter your email address, and it will automatically be added to our distribution. And we would absolutely love to engage you on a more regular basis. So Caroline says, so true. Did your father ever talk about Lowell Thomas? Honestly, that name is very familiar, but I don't remember why. So yeah. I was a little kid. My father, when he couldn't find a babysitter, he would take me with him on interviews. And me being a little kid, I had no idea who these people were. But they just thought it was adorable, him carrying around a little redheaded child, who had a large vocabulary. So Jeffrey says, I'll check out your site here tonight. And if it's cool, can I send you what we have so far? So I think what you should do, Jeffrey, is when you feel like you have a collection that's like a good thematic collection, and one that's you feel like it's your best work, and you this is something that you think is ready for prime time, then definitely go to our submittable page and send it to whichever one you think is most appropriate, whether it be Rise or Running Wild. And like as Ben had mentioned, we are more than happy to check it out, because you never know. So Caroline says Ted Bell was his writer and producer. Oh, cool. Well, that's pretty awesome. Very nice. Very cool. Yeah, my dad mentioned tons of people, and I don't remember half of it. So to be honest, I'm pretty sure my father is now in the Radio Pioneers Hall of Fame for the Philadelphia area, just because he had been around for so long. So uh, they did it post after he's passed. What's that word?
Posthumously.
Humously. Thank you.
Posthumously.
It yeah,
Posthumously.
my brain has this habit of saying, like, this is the word, like I could see it in my head to spell it, but sometimes I get tongue tied. So posthumously, thank you. Awesome. All right. So if you are watching us and it is between 5 and 6 p.m. Pacific time, 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern time, we are Running Wild and Rise presses, and we are here to answer any kind of questions that you may have around publishing, editing, marketing, creative writing, you name it. And if you are watching this and it is not between 5 and 6 p.m. or 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern time on Thursdays, it's not a big deal. You can go ahead and pop your question into our comment section, and we typically go back and check for any kind of new questions that may arise um, throughout the week that maybe we weren't exposed to, that we didn't see, and we'll do our best to answer them in the subsequent session. So I hope that helps. All right. I don't know, Ben, you got anything you want to talk about?
Well, the use of profanity in your work, it's
Ah.
probably becoming more and more prevalent as well. And I was just reminded of some of the World War II, and I think I've mentioned it before, but some of the World War II authors came back from saving the world for democracy, and they were writing about their experiences. And I remember one author. I'd have to look it up, see which one it was. But Thin Red Line was who Jones. I
Hmm.
don't think it was, but the censors made them for the F word use FUG, and
Oh.
and the authors, these veterans said that they just felt so unnatural to say FUG instead of the actual thing when I was writing, because I was writing for the truth of it, and the truth of it was not FUG, but and it's I wrote a novel called The Kill Gene, and it was set in the army in 1980s in Germany, and on purpose I took out all the profanity,
Mm.
which you might think, well, that didn't ring true because it was the army, but it was done from a point of view of, these words. I don't have to tell you what they said. I'll just tell you what they kind of said, and have some fun with it. So you can be creative with the profanity in your writing. Very nice, Jeffrey. Very nice.
Yeah, I didn't know. I knew the term FUG. I just didn't know that's where it originated. I just knew that it, like, just started sprouted up like in more popular circles, and I
Yeah,
knew what it was a replacement for, but I didn't know that that's how it started. That's pretty funny.
yeah. And it was the censors working on the World War II novels. We can't say that. The war's over.
Wow, that's cool. I
Yeah.
wonder I wonder what popularized, I mean, made it more normalized to use profanity, um,
Probably the
in the
beat
arts in
poets.
general. You think? I thought it
Yeah.
was
Blame it on Ginsburg.
all right, I'm down. I'm happy to blame it on Ginsburg. Why not? Sure.
Or that time
Uh,
frame, probably that more the sexual revolution and the standing up with Lenny Bruce got run off the comedian stage, but it was maybe protesting that even. If you won't let Lenny Bruce say it, I'll say it and I'll write it and and go from there.
all right.
I'm
Carolyn asks,
guessing.
how do you both feel about profanity in literary writing? I find it overused. Stay in character, yes, but too much drowns out the message, methinks. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, I think it can be overused, and if it's going for a shock value, then it may not be necessary because it doesn't shock people anymore. It may shock more if you don't use it. If you if you um, want to get your point across, but if it's true to the character, what the character would say, and doesn't get in the way of the story, then it,
Hmm.
it probably does ring true. There's some situations where profanity is what you're going to hear, and veterans veterans know, but and it so it's a matter of just being true to the story and the character. I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. Uh, I I think too oftentimes writers forget that when you're reading something on the page, if it's repeated, um, it's almost like it resonates twice as much as it does when it's verbal.
Mhm.
So they may overuse certain terms or overuse um, a different language, not realizing that when a third party comes back and reads it, that it can be overwhelming, and it may not ring true. Versus when the author's first writing it, it may feel true. So, it's really kind of, I think, to both of your points, it's using the language smartly, where it's being true to the character, and it's also at the same time, not overwhelming to the readers. So I'm not saying
If,
it's not going to be shocking to some, right? I'm just saying that it's not where someone's like, you're just doing it to do it at this point, right?
yeah. If
uh
you have a character who's a greeter at Walmart using profanity on the way
Probably
in,
not.
you might be over the top.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to the effing store. Thank you.
uh
Where's the bread?
right, exactly. Jeffrey says, write what the world is afraid to say.
Or
uh
here. Or
or
here.
here, yeah. Write the stories that you'd want to read. To me, that's the bottom line, right? And whatever that may turn out to be, write those stories. So Caroline says, do we really want to read any more about Walmart? I
With that
don't
greeter, we might.
know. Jeffrey says, well, welcome to
There it
Fooging
is.
Walmart. Have a Fooging day. A nice Fooging day. Yeah. Hey, I don't know. Maybe it depends on where you are. Maybe if you're in like New York City, maybe the greeter at
Finally, an
that
honest
Walmart.
greeter.
Ben, where are you? New Mexico? Probably
New
unlikely.
Mexico, yeah, just outside Albuquerque.
Yeah, your greeter's probably not using Foog very much.
No.
And it's
They,
just a
they will
guess.
stop you and tell you some kind of wild stories because they got all the time in the world. But which are good stories. You got to stop and listen.
Well, yeah. See, then you can go ahead and use it. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. There's a reason those greeters exist. It's not just to greet you, it's to tell you a wild story that you can then
Yeah.
use somewhere else.
And you shamelessly steal them and you go write them.
Yeah, why not? Can't hurt ish.
Yeah.
So, who knows, man? Who knows? Cool. Well, if you guys are watching and you have never joined us before, I am Lisa Kastner. I am here with Ben White, and we are editors at Running Wild and RIZE Presses. And we are here with you every Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. And we are here to answer any kind of questions that you may have around it could be publishing, writing, creative writing, marketing. Why do we do what we do? Why does Ben have so many books behind him? Whatever you want. So,
I'm at my neighbor's house.
yeah, right.
No, no.
Yeah, his own house. There's no books, right? He
No
just
books at all.
this is all a facade. He's never read a
Yeah.
book in his life. He doesn't know anything about any kind of nope. He only watches movies and reads audiobooks.
Yeah.
Or listens to audiobooks. So, yeah.
And play video
All right.
games.
Yeah, and play video games. I actually know someone who was quite proud to acknowledge that his big thing was like he'd play video games for like a half hour and then go write for a half hour and then play more video games or whatever. And I was like, so have you read anything lately? And that's when the conversation got very quiet, let's just say. So I'm sure the stories were interesting. They were probably all based on the video games that he played.
Yeah.
So more, I guess,
I've heard of
thriller-ish.
a chat book. I don't think it was ever published. I think it was in a creative writing program where the poet wrote a chap book of poems all based on the Andy Griffith Show.
Okay.
So it was, everything was had to do about it was about Mayberry and Andy and Opie. I never saw it. I just heard about it.
All right. Well, I mean, hey,
It had a
that's what
theme.
it had a theme, and that's what floated his boat, then rock on. He
Yeah.
clearly had a good time writing it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have put it in there. So I just know the MFA program I went to. The head of the program was like, no genre stories. You only literary. And we were all like, okay. So now what makes it really funny is there's a good number of us who went forward and wrote some kind of genre story or cross genres after that. But it was almost like just the fact that he was so anti anything that was not literary. It made you say, well, then I've got to write a mystery now because you told me not to.
Yes.
Caroline asked, did either one of you ever listen to music and write? I'll let Ben take that first. Do you do that?
Yes, or watch TV in the background. But it's the music, the one, especially from a poet. I had to condition myself not to listen to Dylan because anything you write while you listen to Dylan is not good. So you just gotta let Dylan sing, and then okay, let me try to figure out what that means to me. But sometimes the music will it's a very good trigger for emotions and memories, and which set the place and the time, especially from a poet's point of view. But I've written pieces of my forthcoming novel that is about forthcoming 3 years from now, but at this pace. but it's just it. I think it surrounds you with if not imagery, then at least the sounds and triggers emotions and memories. Like I said,
Mm.
so yes, I do.
So I learned at a young age that if I listen to music with lyrics while I'm writing, I will suddenly find myself writing the lyrics. So so I don't listen to music while I'm writing. What I do listen to on occasion, I'll listen to classical music because it actually helps me focus. Um, that said, I'm not usually writing fiction. I'm typically writing like a narrative poem or a journalism article or a press release or something like that. Because what happens is the emotions that are evoked as part of the classical music then also bleed into the story that I'm writing. So you can't write a thriller that suddenly is really calm in tone because I happen to be listening to classical music, as I was writing that part. So, um, so yeah, I listen to music selectively, I guess you could say. So Caroline says, yeah, this it sets the mood for me occasionally, and she also listens to classical music as well. Yeah, it's great, especially when you're writing like later at night to kind of help you stay more like focused. Um, but I also have this habit. I get when I'm writing, if I'm really in it, like I'm in that world. So like I don't know what else is going on around me. So it is kind of interesting that the lyrics will somehow bleed into the writing itself. um, but yeah, but I basically try to make sure that my focus is purely on that world that's in my head that I'm putting on the page, if that makes sense. So cool. I'm trying to think. I've actually gotten a lot of questions around when the novella anthologies that we just completed are going to be published, and I'm going to send out a note to everybody who is in those anthologies so you guys know the specific publication dates for them. And if you have sent me an email lately and I have not responded, I need to apologize. Like I said, I've been absolutely swamped. I had certain deadlines that I just could not miss. And so if I knew that it would take longer than 2 minutes to respond to an email, then I had to basically put it off. So one thing, guys, I actually just spoke at a writers organization this weekend, and they were super kind. But I'm speaking at another writers organization on Tuesday, September 6th. It's at the Main Line and Wilmington Writers Groups. That's Tuesday, September 6th. It's going to be a combination of in person and online. If you are interested in attending, and this is another one, I'm basically going to be there. I'm going to answer any kind of questions that you might have around, writing and publishing and all that. I also usually do also talk about, how an approach that you can take to your writing career that you may find really productive. It's a way to help you stay organized, stay focused, and kind of approach things more from like a business perspective that can enable you to be much more successful if right now you kind of like free write. So, and now I'm just looking up for I'm trying to find the link to the next um to the that session, and this is outdated. That's okay. But yeah, just go ahead and just do a search on Mainline Writers Group, and then reach out to them to get a link and whatever additional information you might need in order to join us. It would be a lot of fun for you to join us online. So cool. All right, we've got 5 minutes left, guys. Um, and toss whatever questions you've got. We are happy to answer in these last final moments before we get offline. I think, I hope, Ben, you've got off on Monday
Yes.
for awesome. Yeah,
Yeah. I'll be editing.
you'll be editing. Yeah. As will I. I got a whole lot of homework that I have to take care of. I think so. Let me see. Caroline asked if I could post the
The mainline link.
yeah.
What time of day is it, Lisa?
It is at it is like I said on Tuesday, the 6th at 4 p.m. Pacific time, which would be 7 p.m. Eastern time. And I'm sure they would love for you guys to join. So I just posted the link. That's to their um, to that writers group's main page, and just reach out to the webmaster. It looks like the site's not updated yet with the information on the event, but we like I said, we'd love to have you. It would be a total blast, and people always come up with really cool and interesting questions. So you know what, I've got one for Ben. What what's the one thing that you feel like the one bit of advice you were given that you feel like really changed your trajectory in terms of your writing?
It was at the MFA program at Tampa, and Alan Michael Parker, AMP, told me that writing songs and writing poems are two different things.
Mm,
And it because it, and before that, before I'd heard that, there were a lot of poems I needed music for. But
mm,
I've been called a banjo moron, if that gives you a hint of my musical abilities. And
that's awesome.
but when he said that, it was okay. I can leave behind even trying to make those into songs, and I can write the story in the poems. And it was it
Mm-hmm.
was it was an eye opener. That's the one that comes to mind first for your question. And I'm sure there were others, but that one came up first in my Rolodex.
I like that. That's great. That's great.
And it made sense. It made sense to me in my writing. So it was. So it didn't necessarily change what I wrote. It helped change how I wrote it,
Mm,
and what its message and what its story was.
mm.
And then because I'm well, it's either good or bad, but I'll get on a theme, and next thing I know, I've got 50 poems on that theme, and I call that a collection and move on. I try for 51 as a collection now. I have no idea why.
I love it. That's awesome.
I've got many 51 poem collections.
I used to go to like every single writers conference you can think of, right? Like I've been to Breadloaf several times. I've been to Squaw Valley. I've been to Chautauqua, Ohio. Ohio has an amazing summer program. I went to Yale, and a lot of it was just because I just kept. I'm like, I know there's things I don't know. Like I was like I really want to learn, and I had but what that also meant was I kept taking myself out of opportunities because I thought, oh well, they'll never accept this, they'll never be interested in what I have to do or what I've done or whatever. And I had on three different occasions instructors actually pull me aside and say, look, you are really knowledgeable, you could be teaching this class. Like, it's time that you stop applying as an attendee and you start owning like what you can do. And the first time that happened, I was totally shocked, and I thought, "Oh, he's just being nice, like he's trying to make me get me to shut up because I'm talking too much in class, right?" And then the second time it happened, I was like, "Oh, that's really sweet. Yeah, okay." And then the third time I finally went, "Oh, you're not kidding." Ah, but that to leave you guys with this one thought, don't take yourself out of the game, right? Don't allow that voice in your head that's questioning you and saying, "Well, I don't know, I'm not sure." Make that voice shut up and go ahead and do it anyway, right? Put your best foot forward, put forward what you think is the best that you've got right now, and that's okay, right? It's not okay to not send it in. It's not okay to take yourself out, right? Give yourself the opportunities that that bit of self-doubt could take away. And with that, I want to thank everybody. I especially want to thank Ben, as always, for being here. And we will see you guys same time next week. Have an awesome weekend. Ciao.
Great Labor Day.